Hey, hello everybody. This is Doc for Doc taking on the Mormish, and as promised, I told you we were going to be doing an update on Mr. Lamount Maurice Butler L. Um, the last live stream was about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. So we're going to work on condensing this, but again, there's tons of documentation out that these people put out, and it's just, I mean, you gotta have some kind of understanding of basic law here in the United States and how it works, and be following some other good streamers. I do want to give a shout out to oh, now if I can remember his name, if I don't come across it, I will put his channel link in the description. So definitely check him out. But he has brought to light even more today. I watched one of his newest videos, and um, it was really interesting how he found this one person who claims to be a Moor. Again, if you guys watched the last stream, a Moor was a term given to the Muslim people in India. They called them Moors. The actual spelling of the word is Moro S, not Moor. The people that are here in the United States that claim to be Moors are not Moors. What they feel as a Moor is because their skin is darker shade, or as they say, melanated, because they have a darker shade of skin. So they automatically think they're a Moor. That's not what makes you Moorish. Again, it's a portion of the Islamic faith, a sect, just like in Christianity. You have Lutherans, Catholics, Protestants, Methodists, evangelicals. They're all sects of the Christian faith. So it's the same thing. And in Truth 151, that's his page. So there, go check out Truth 151's YouTube page. Just absolute awesome channel. A lot of great information. And so in today's video, he was talking about the word Bay or Day or El or Ali. And what he did was, while this supposed Moor, I like calling them moops. If you've ever seen the episode of Seinfeld with Bubble Boy and they're playing Trivial Pursuit, he says, "Oh, it's the Moors," and George is like, "No, I'm sorry, it's the moops." And the kid's like, "Oh, it's a typo. It's a typo." Well, anyways, they are moops. They are brainwashed. I think some of these people, because they're so young, have been brought up to believe this, so they think it's truth. And it just gets shoved down them by their family members and others. But anyways, he did a really good job talking about this moop was talking about the treaty with Tripoli that the United States had. And in there it says the Bay, and or I believe it either Bay or Day. And I'm going to explain this, and I will put the link to, again, those terms and what they mean. Well, what they actually meant was they were governmental titles. So there wasn't like 1,000 people running around with the hyphen Bay or hyphen Day in their names. It was a government title that was given. It either meant a commander, it could mean a foot soldier, it meant a governor in some cases, tribal leadership. So again, as this guy is reading the treaty that the United States has with Tripoli, which again is a treaty of peace and friendship, which the only thing this treaty has to deal with, again, just like the Treaty of Peace and Friendship with Morocco, is shipping and ports and commerce. That's all that has to deal with. It doesn't give any extra rights. It doesn't get you out of traffic tickets. It doesn't put you on a do not detain list. It doesn't do anything, because I'm guaranteeing you, you're not working in the port, you're not on a ship, and oh, by the way, you're not in commerce. So in all of that, Truth 151 does a great job of researching this information even further. And those titles actually came from the Ottoman Empire. So the same people that were oppressing them, okay, because the Ottoman Empire hated African Americans. They did. And as they took them as slaves, they made them eunuchs. They also made them wear the fez, which these guys love to wear. But see, they don't know the history. That's where we go back to. They don't know the history of what they're trying to claim. And what they are reading has been from people that have been pushing this for so long, and in their explanation and in their pushing, they've been wrong as well. So again, they're governmental terms from the Ottoman Empire, Bey and Dey. They do not mean royalty. They don't grant any special abilities or powers. And again, I'll post that video that he did today. Again, really great video. I was really amazed at how informative this video has been. But he literally just let this moop just destroy himself. He was trying so hard to put the more twist on it, so people would think, oh, it says Bey in there and Dey, that's us, that's the Moors. No, it's not. It's not. Again, Moors aren't a nationality. They are a religious sect. It's just like Muslims are not an ethnic group. Okay? A Muslim is a believer in the Islamic faith. They're not an ethnic group. They're not a nationality. So Moor or Moors, Moros, are not a nationality. They're not a indigenous group. They are a sect of the Muslim religion. And again, that's very hard. There is a Facebook page. I'll put the link out to it again. Join it. It is absolutely entertainment gold. Watching and listening to these people as they type out. There's a comment that I was following by this one guy. It's like, look, I spent over $5,000. I kept getting pulled over. None of this stuff was working. I wasn't getting paid by the liens. I was told this and told that. Nobody can show me any proof. Where is the proof of you winning these court cases, getting paid on liens, your IDs working, your passports? You can't find any place to get these passports that you're saying that we have. And in there, what was funny is one of the people made the comments that, oh, there's more to it than that. Well, of course there's always more to it because it's not working. So we have to say there's more to it. Well, what is the more to it? What else does he have to do to make it work? And nobody can explain it. Well, I pushed one guy and he got so upset that in his response to me, he told me, well, we don't have to show anything. Okay, then. That tells me when a person takes that stance, takes that argument, they have no proof of what they're stating. None of this works. I've sent letters and emails now to the actual Moroccan consul here at their embassy in New York and Washington, D.C. They actually have two embassies. And I think one's meant for the UN, and then the other one is meant as because our seat of government's in Washington, D.C. So they have another embassy there. I sent letters to both those, and all these people, which Lamount has claimed that he's a chief counselor general. Okay. In doing some research for the country of Morocco, the chief counselor general is the king of Morocco. That's who the chief counselor general is. And so again, they take these titles, but they're not doing any research. You can't have 100 chief counselor generals. That's not how it works. It's just like going to a perfect example is you can't have 15 secretary of states at the federal level. You have one, and then you have deputy assistants, deputy secretary of state or assistant secretary of state. You have underling positions. You don't have, like I said, 15, 25 counselor generals. I went and looked on the embassy website for the country of Morocco. Nowhere in there. It does list out the positions, but after the actual counselor, the head guy, which is an ambassador, it starts listing all the other people that have like assistant counselor for this, assistant counselor for that, assistant ambassador for this. So, excuse me, I'm sorry. So again, you can't have 15 counselor generals. It just doesn't work. All right. Because if that was the case, you'd all be stepping over each other's toes. Nothing would ever get done. So I did some research. If you go back to the video and you listen to what I'm reading in the documents that I showed, I did a little bit more research on Lamount. Lamount has been arrested before for this. He was actually arrested in Prince George County in the state of Maryland, and he was arrested for the same thing. Now, the house that he had tried to take and say was his because he had some birthright, which they don't, was a house in a very prominent Maryland community. And just to give you an idea, the average house cost right now is anywhere between $5.5 and $10 million for these houses. These are very prominent Maryland communities. Okay. Well, at the time in 2018, when this house sold, it actually sold. I went and I took the address. So the address for this house is 7013 Natell, Natell, Woods Lane, and that's in Bethesda, Maryland. So just look at Bethesda, Maryland. Look at the median household income. You'll see why this house is where it's at. This house sold back on July 6th of 2018. This house sold for $5,625,000. As of today, the house is worth $7,218,913. So he tried to steal a house. Now, at the time when he tried to steal this house, the house had been sold. So the owners hadn't moved in yet. So in typical Sov-Sit fashion, which these moops fall into, these other groups of people, they're more of the religious sect. They fall into this. The thing is to find a discreet place, break into the house, and change out all the door locks. So you can say, oh, look, I got the keys. I filed my quit claim deed. I did this. Well, the quit claim deed doesn't work either. And they think by filing it is I took it to the notary and she stamped and signed it. No, again, the whole point of a notary public, when you go to a bank or to the county office or whatever to get a notary, all they're doing, okay, and all of that is they're verifying that you, the person that is going to sign this document, is actually you. So what they do is they ask for your ID because they want to see your ID and your signature. And they just verify. That's all they do. They stamp it and they verify and they sign it and say, yes, on this date, I verified that this person, I witnessed this person who signed this is this person. That's it. There's nothing else added to it. There's no filing of it. It's not being sent anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to a bank. It's not paying a loan. Nothing. That is the other just horrible part with Sov-Sits and these moops is they literally think that, oh, I have it on public record. No, you don't. It didn't go anywhere. Nothing happened. You literally got a stamp and a seal, and she signed it or he signed it stating that, yeah, I just verified the signature belongs to you. It's a true signature. That's all they're doing. They're not sending it anywhere. They're not filing it anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's not transmitting anywhere. That is their biggest problem, is that misconception is, oh, you just got to put the paperwork on public notice. No, that doesn't work, okay? So anyways, like I said, he tried to send, if you go back and you look at the lien, he tried to say in the lien he was going to lien these people. Well, it says unknown resident. Well, he didn't know who bought the house, so he figured I'll just put unknown resident in there and I'm good to go. Well, again, as I did the research on this, he was trying to steal a $5.6 million house, and it didn't work. He ended up going to jail. So, you know, and there's a bit more to it as well. They like filing this saying that their certification number, and they all use the same number. Okay, all these wannabe I'm a counselor general, they all use the same number, and the number they use is AA222141 Class A. They say it's on file in the Library of Congress, in the Copyright Office, and it's a Ulladulla National ID. Well, here's the funny part. You can actually live chat the workers in the Library of Congress. And so guess what I did? I went right to the Copyright Office and I was live chatting with them. And I said, hey, I'm wondering for this person, do you have this certification number for a Moroccan Counselor General under this name? They have nothing. So again, more fallacy, more fake, more make-believe. That's where they want to go in this. They up here is completely shot. I literally believe when I watch the videos and I listen to them, and then all I got to do is spend 10 minutes using either Bing or Google, and you dig a little bit. You can't take the first first 2 pages. Never do that, because what they do is they search that so it pushes it to the top of the search result. No. I'm going to dig a little deeper on you. I'm going to go to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th page of that search. And when you find this stuff and see that it has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on anything, it holds no legality, no weight, it doesn't change your name, it doesn't change your status, it doesn't do anything for you, the first thing they say to you is, oh, you're a non-believer. Well, of course I don't believe in your bullshit. That's what this is. That's exactly what it is 100% bullshit. If you took a pile of shit from a bowl and this stuff, it's going to smell the same. It's the same thing. There's no other way going around it. Well, anyways, so he calls himself, he says it's also on file. It's an Dial national ID card, United States Department of Justice. Well, the Department of Justice doesn't even have this ID card on file. You'll never see this ID card either. I've actually went out, and for those people that claim to be this, that are still around, I said, hey, where's your ID card? Show me your ID card. You say it's on file at the U.S. Department of Justice, right? Well, let me see it. You shouldn't have a problem showing to me this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of it, and guess what? I'm going to send a FOIA request to the Department of Justice and asking them if they have your ID on file. Guaranteeing you this, they don't. And the next place to verify as a secondary source, which is a true source, is the actual Moroccan embassy in either in New York City or in Washington, D.C. So, again, and so they come down and said they're visitor of the Consulate General of Morocco. Morocco has no idea who these people are. I've already reached out. I'm going to post my response email from them so everybody can read it. It'll be on the Facebook page, and then I'll also get it posted up here on YouTube for you guys to take a look at and read as well. They don't know who these people are. They have no idea. They know they're not a resident of the country of Morocco. That's easy. They go down through and search that stuff. They'll search that name and see that person doesn't exist as a true citizen of the country of Morocco. And then there's a new one. So as you guys have noticed, this is kind of taking shape. There is a group of these people in Maryland that, they believe this stuff, and there is paperwork to just destroy. Okay. So anyways, this person that signed this document for Mr. Lamount come in there, and he said his name is Charles Ornell Smith -Bay, Counselor Visor. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Charles Arnell Smith is his full name. Bay, you have no connection to that. That doesn't grant you anything. You're not royalty. You don't have any power. The little fake badge you might wear is something that you and I could go buy from Amazon for probably $5-6, prime shipping. And you probably have a box of them because you've probably had it confiscated a couple times. So anyways, we've got this guy. So these guys are all based out of Maryland, which is hilarious. So we have him, and as this channel, as this video group grows, we're going to be going through each one of these guys. So to give you an idea, in Charles County, Mr. Lamount, let's go back to Mr. Lamount. We're going to discuss some of his criminal past. In 2013, he had a first-degree burglary charge, and the case number, and I've requested these, so I'm waiting to get them. There's a couple different case numbers. I read them off in the last video. One is 123483-C. Another one is 122514-Charlie C as well. And that was in the circuit court for Montgomery County. And I've already talked to them. They're getting it together. I'm going to get physical paper copies. I feel that's the best because that allows me to go through it and read it. And if I want to make a copy of a certain page, I can if I'm going to use it for something. Now, the community that this house, okay, is Natel Communities, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but again, it is their main office is in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So again, I wrote out to them wanting some more information, how they found out, what the cost was to fix the place after he got out, all of that. There is a warrant. There was a warrant issued for his arrest, and I do have that, and I'll show that here in a minute. along with another case number that came from the District Court of Montgomery County, 0 Delta 004150002. So I've requested that case as well. Again, I like reading through this. Through here, there's been a couple other people. There was Adil Zakat Syed Bey, and he's vice counsel, judicial officer. So now I'm guessing he thinks he's a judge. Okay, they like taking titles. They like claiming that they're this and they're that. But in all reality, they're not. They just took a title. Now, I will tell you that in our laws and at the federal law, what they're doing is actually a felony. It's a federal crime for saying that you're a judge or a counselor. Those are very high positions, and so they do carry a lot of weight. If you walk up to somebody who's just dumbfounded, doesn't know, and they say, "Oh yeah, I'm the counselor general for the Moroccan Empire." You got somebody that has no real idea what's going on. They're probably going to give whatever this person wants. So again, and it says he's a judicial officer for the Morocco Consular Court. Well, there's no such thing as consular courts. Not here in the United States. There's not. I looked it up, and they do have a thing of it. It's kind of like that. And basically, what it is it's outside the judge. It's usually the two lawyers get together with their clients. It's almost like developing a out of court settlement or something like that, but they have their own court. The two counsels come together, they discuss this, and they figure out how they can do it without court, and then they come together united front to the judge and say, "Hey, we don't need this. We already figured it out. This is what's going to happen." And then the judge will say, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. Here you go." So going through that, this individual is Mr. Lamont is in violation of several statutes in the state of Maryland. CR3 808, CR8 606 Bravo in India, CR3 808 Alpha, CR8 606 Bravo in India. So again, he was a very bad boy. He did some bad things he probably shouldn't have done. So, and there is there's a bunch of different cases. For the incident that took place in Prince George County was somebody else, where Mr. Lamont then decided he was going to be the counselor general. This was with Nia Eliza Bay. So now we have a female coming in and trying to do the same thing. Needless to say, nothing for their favor. But again, the case number, which this was in the Circuit Court of Prince George's County in Maryland, and this is CAEF 18 4126-0. So we have requested these case files. We're very interested to see the actual entire case. So with that, just to give you an idea of how many of this group is, and I'm sure there's more to this, but these are the ones that have shown up on the documents. We have Abasi Tyler Bay, Felicia D.N. Bay, Georgia Mur Aqua L. There's a consul chief, Chadana Shana Singletary Israel L. We have a MM Bay, and then obviously the cult leader of all of this is that Light Turia Bay. She is the cult leader in this. If there was a figurehead that I was going to go after, it would be her. She has been in jail. She's done her time. She's gotten out. She's had warrants. At one time, she had $3,000, $5,000 warrants out for her. There is a video where she makes it as if she won, but the problem is, unless you get the case file, and you just take her word for it, it does. It sounds like she won, but in all honesty, she didn't. She talked in a word salad, I call it, where it's just circular conversation. It doesn't go anywhere. It's the same thing, and in just a different form over and over again. And that's how she talks. So she thinks she got one up, but in all honesty, she didn't. This woman, I honestly believe, got hit in the head with a sledgehammer at a very young age, and it just messed this up here. These mental faculties are not working like they should. She believes 100% in this, and she's making money off it too, because everything that comes through her, the IDs, the passports, the fictitious signed paperwork by these consular courts, she's making money off of. And people are stupid enough to go off this. And if they just did the research, they'd realize that, in all honesty, you're not going anywhere. You're wasting money. To move off this just for a minute, there was another previous moop, and he had spent upwards of $3,000, and he was bounced everywhere. That Moorish ID card he bought for $50 wasn't working. He wasn't tax exempt. He kept getting pulled over. So here we have people that have tried this, spent money, years, wasted time, and got nowhere, and finally realized that, hey, this is all bullshit. It doesn't work. I'm told that I got to go here and do this, and then I do it, and it still doesn't work. And then I'm told I got to go over here and do this, or I got to go through this temple, or I got to go through the counselor court, or I got to go through the Moorish science temple. That's their biggest problem. It would be harder to crack their bullshit if there wasn't so many competing voices, because what's happening is the people that are up here in this area that honestly really don't believe it but are really good at shoveling the shit are making money. And they believe if they keep filling people's heads with this, they're going to make money. And they are, because people are dumb. And what they're cashing in on, and then I'll go back to this, what they're cashing in on is those people that are just having just dumb luck. They're just having a bad streak that has been constant. And when they hear, hey, if you do this, you don't have to pay taxes, you're tax exempt, you don't have to pay registration or insurance or need one of their driver's license thingies, you don't have to pay attention to any of their laws, none of that pertains to you. People look at that and they're like, that is awesome. That is a great deal. That's what I need. I need to be able to cancel all my debts, put these people on lien so they pay me. None of that works. To this date, through these people and the soft sit movement, not one lien has been paid on. Not one. They are for thousands is what they are. They think, and it's an intimidation factor, because in there, they're telling people, well, you got to give me your house, you got to give me your car, this lien's in effect for generations to come if you don't pay this. Well, I would sort of believe you if you knew how to spell and everything wasn't in red ink, which makes it freaking impossible to read. They don't know how to spell. Take one of their documents that's in red. Every C is a K. They don't know what year they live in. They really don't. They honestly think they live in something. It's like 1447, but then over in parentheses, they'll put the actual year. They believe in a zodiac constitution, which has nothing to do with our constitution and is all nothing but fallacy. Has no weight, no power, no nothing in our constitution. In the Constitution of the United States of America and our Bill of Rights and our Declaration of Independence. Nowhere in there does it state that the Moors or the Moops get to throw in their Zodiac Constitution whenever they want. No. If you have your own constitution for your country, then go back to your country and follow your constitution. It does not carry over to us. It's just like if I go to Italy, the U.S. Constitution does not follow me. Now, if we have a treaty with Italy and I do something stupid, yes, I am held to the laws of the country of Italy and whatever province I happen to be in, whether it's Rome, Tuscany, whatever. I'm held to those laws and those statutes and those codes. That's how it works. That's just how it works. There's no way around that. Okay? So it is a list, and we are doing everything in our power to go down the list and prove how much each person or group is a fraud. Okay? That in of itself is the problem. All right? Before I move on back to Mr. Lamount, well, actually, let me move on to Lamount, and I'll come back to that because that's going to segue into our next video series. So while Mr. Lamount was in prison as well. He tried to get his prison sentence thrown out, and that was a funny one. But there's more here. So they like to use this type of paperwork, and this is on a black and I printed it non-color, but normally this is all red. Okay, they put a 2-cent stamp and put a red thumbprint over it, and whatever the hell that means. This is a great Photoshop job. They like to claim these as international documents. However, they're not. No country sees these as legal documents. They don't. But what this says at the top, let me give you a little bit of idea of how crazy they are. The Moorish National Republic Federal Government. I don't know what the hell that, but again, that's a religion. That's a religious sect. Moorish, like Lutheran, like Catholics, like Protestant. Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World. Well, there's really no divine movement, and the only where this group, these paper terrorists exist, because they're domestic terrorists, it's here in the U.S. And they have no divine right. And now, of course, they put this Northwest of Mexum, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate. Well, Northwest Amexa doesn't exist. If you look up Amexa, here's what's funny with Amexa. Look it up. It's a company, but it's a company that goes back to this group. Someone's very clever in their web design for this group. Yes, we know where Northwest Africa is. That's across the Atlantic. And then North America. We are in North America. The United States of America, our country, our landmass, our states are in North America. We share North America with Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. That's what makes up the North American continent, not Africa. Africa is nowhere near us. They're over across the ocean. You got to take a boat or an airplane, a submarine, a fucking paraglider to get over there if you want. They are not over here, okay? They don't like when you tell them that. They think for some reason this is the Empire of Morocco, but I ain't found one damn document outside their fictitious ones that state this is the Empire of Morocco. And I'll tell you what, if Morocco owned this, they'd be one of the richest damn countries over in Africa. But they don't. They have their small little landmass, and we've been great friends with them for a very long time. And then they put Temple of the Moon and Sun, which is a pagan temple. The moon and sun were worshipped by pagans. They were worshipped by the Romans, Samaritans, and so forth. Societas Republicae Cal A Moroccanos. So I think what they're trying to say, the Empire of Morocco. And then the true and de jure natural peoples, heir to the land. None of these people are heirs to this land. I guarantee you none of them actually own property in this land, in this country. And they're not the natural people. Give you a little history lesson. The actual first people to this landmass that we called North America and the United States and Canada and Mexico, they migrated between 15 and 20,000 years ago across the Great Land Bridge from Asia and Russia. And they came over here. They have new studies that show when you look at the American Indian, Native American facial structure and compare it to an Asian, pretty much the same. So in doing more of that genealogy and ancestology and DNA studies, it has been proven. And these people have no connection to that group of people at all. So again, wrong. They call this an affidavit of fact, a writ of error, and they call it an international document. Well, this document is not recognized internationally. I actually went to the UN's website. The UN does have a depository for actual, true, verified international documents. Not there. Every country has a folder with a list of their approved international documents. Guess what, Moors? Moops, you ain't got one. And then they do this stupid shit, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard when they ravel this off. Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal is notice to agent. Doesn't mean shit, doesn't hold any weight. It just sounds good for them. So he calls it Exhibit B, and he's relating back to those earlier cases. He calls the assistant administrative clerk a foreign European female. They like to use, instead of just the state, they call states republics. We are a democratic republic. That's what we are. We built our society and our way of life, our form of government, off of the Roman Empire of the Republic. They had the Senate. They had representatives that represented the different provinces. And then they had the Senates. That's what we built our government off of. Those were the bases right there. That was our foundation. It worked. You had a ruler, our president. They had an emperor. Then you had your House and Senate. We just took it and redefined it, is what we did. We made it actually work. Yes, we still have squabbling assholes in both houses. Sometimes you get the wrong guy up in the front office, but it works. It's not perfect. It does work because our states in the United States of America are sovereign states. They have their own constitution, which is a mirror of the federal constitution, but every state has one, and it's different here and there based on the state you're in. That's how we work. It works great. It's not perfect, but it works. He goes on to say that a foreign misrepresented instrument, bill of attainder, bill of exchange, styled as an order. So basically what happened was he got charged, and he doesn't like that. So that he's going to call it an error. They call out the other funny thing that's, before I move on to the next page, the other funny thing too is they like to call their file number the certified mail tracking number. So they will put that at the footer of the page or up at the top because they think that works for them. I don't know. Again, not an internationally sanctioned document. So they call out a case law, Starr's decision law, Elliott versus Persol 26 U.S. 328, 340, 1828. So they like going way back, okay, which I'm guaranteeing you there has been cases that have overridden this. But instead of going with what's current, we go all the way back to find what'll work, and then we cherry pick the case is what they do. So what I like to do is I go and I find these cases and I actually read what they're about and then see the decision so you have a better understanding. And that's what it comes down to, proper research, not half-assed research. So they call out one, it just says courts are constituted by authority and they cannot act beyond the powers delegated to them. If a court acts without authority, its judgments and orders are regarded as nullity. So what they're trying to say is that the judge doesn't have jurisdiction and any of his decisions, any of his rulings are now nullified and they don't pertain to me. Again, there's that soft sit bullshit. It's all mixed in there. All right. They are not voidable, but simply void and form no bar to a remedy sought in opposition to them, even prior to a reversal. They constitute no justification, and all persons concerned in executing such judgments or sentences are considered in law as trespassers. That's not true. This case, there's been so many revisions to this. There's actually a case that was ruled upon 10 years ago that supersedes this, but they don't like that. It doesn't fit what they want. So he decided to, let me cherry pick this. And again, it's from 1828. So in here he goes, I am in receipt of your instrument titled Order Date July 24, 2020, regarding your response to my affidavit of fact, request for file stamp copies and true test copies. So what he's trying to do is get copies made for free. He's saying, well, I filed this. You got to provide those to me. Well, no, you got to pay for them just like everybody else does. It costs money, ink, paper, time. It costs money, just like for one of the case files that one of my special people that I'll be bringing up to you guys later. It's going to be quite fun. It cost me $14. I had to order it from another state. They got everything together. They told me how much it was. I sent them a cashier's check and they shipped it to me. That's how it works. For the record, I am Lamount Maurice L, also known as Lamount Maurice Butler-El. No, his legal name. See, now They like to think they changed their name. They filled out some paperwork, took it to a notary. He did not legally change his name. So he is still known as Lamount Maurice Butler. If I was going to go do a background check on him, I'd probably have to do it in both Butler and Butler-El, just so I could get all his criminal records. And then they go on again. Like I said, they like to think they're Aboriginal, which they're not. They're not indigenous. They may believe in the Moorish sect of the Islamic faith. And yes, they still are an American because they were born here. So yes, they're an American citizen. They're an American national because they were born here in this country. And upon that, that's your birthright. When you're born in this country, you become a U.S. citizen. You get all the rights, all the privileges of a United States citizen. That's how it works. He then, the whole thing, Moorish American national of the Moroccan Empire. Well, the Moroccan Empire doesn't exist anymore. The kingdom does, but the empire doesn't. That went away a long time ago. The Moroccan government doesn't know who you are at all. So you're not a citizen of Morocco. And he puts at North America. No, you're in North America. You're in the United States of America. You're in the North American continent. He goes on to say, I am not a Namdi Gurner straw man, which, again, that's a soft sit term. They think that everybody, when they're born, their birth certificate creates a corporation in their name, which is bullshit. So, again, you see how now actually both these groups are actually just soft sits. They're people trying to get around government or anything like that. He goes on, or any other stateless person, artificial corporate construct as written in all cap letters. They like to think that if something's in their name's in capital letters, it means it's a corporation. Well, that's not true. If you look up the definition of capitalization, if you look up why capital letters are used, it's to draw attention. It's usually meant because something's important. So your name, your address, your date of birth, if they're using a nomenclature of both numbers and letters. So say, for instance, they spell out January 7th, 1977. That whole entire thing would be in capital because it's an important thing. It calls it out. It says, hey, this is important. This is this person's date of birth. They think it means you're a corporation, which it doesn't. There's no truth behind that at all. And then it's written all capital letters by the unclean hands of others, as you have indicated in your instrument, i.e. Lamount Maurice Butler. And the thing is race is not a color. That's where I have a problem with race. If you're an American, you're an American. We don't need to put you can't be, let me explain something to you. You can't be an Asian American. You weren't born in Asia and in America at the same time. You're just American. You are of Asian descent because both or one of your parents are of Asian descent. So yes, you're of Asian descent. More likely you'll learn about that culture because that's how your family was brought up, or at least one of your family members. If you're born in this country, you're not African. If you're African, you were born over in Africa, but that's the whole entire continent. Okay? That's the continent of Africa. You were born over there, so you're African. You can be Nigerian because you were born in Nigeria. You could be Libyan because you were born in Libya. That's how it works. You're not a color, okay? So that's another one of their fallacies as well. And he goes, nor do I consent to stand as... I get excited when I talk about this stuff because it's such crap. You want to make it disappear. You want to grab these people and slam them together like the Three Stooges and make them realize that you're an idiot. You're an idiot. He goes on to say that he's a sovereign. He's not. Look up the definition of a sovereign. It's very hard. There's actually a sovereign versus citizen argument out there. You can't be both. Okay. He says he's a sovereign to the land and As such, you and your private foreign corporation for-profit entity styled as circuit court for Montgomery County. There's no ink at that. They're just the county court. Do not have lawful jurisdiction to hear, present, or pass judgment in any manner concerning my affairs. Yes, they do. You live in that county or you committed a crime in that county. So guess what? That judge, that police department, that sheriff's department has jurisdiction. You can think whatever you want. I've heard the arguments. One of the gentlemen that I'm watching, Mark, please forgive me. I don't remember the name of your channel, but I will put it in the description here. He's a newer YouTuber that's gotten into this, and I think a lot of it, he was a gamer before, so I saw a lot of game stuff in his video feed. But this stuff right here, you writing this and sending it to a court and being in that courtroom, that signifies they have jurisdiction over you, buddy. So again, they like playing that jurisdiction game. You don't have jurisdiction over me because of this and that. You got to prove jurisdiction. No, they don't. That's the great thing about it. A judge does not have to prove jurisdiction. When you do your neat little thing, your motion for him to prove jurisdiction, he says overruled. However, we'll preserve that. So if you want to go and appeal it, it's there for your appeal. He just shut you down. You got no leg to stand on. Then goes in response to your erroneous assumption that my affidavit was a motion. Yes, when you file these affidavits, they're motions. That's what they are in court. You're filing a motion. Whatever you want to do, it's a motion. That's how it is, plain and simple. Call it whatever you want. Call it an affidavit. Call it your mom, your dad, whatever. In court, it's a motion. You're filing a motion to do something in court. Let the record reflect that it was not my affidavit was an exercise of right to have free access to the records of the circuit court for Montgomery County in accordance with my due process rights under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Republic Constitution. No. Our Constitution is the United States of America, or Constitution of the United States of America. They like throwing that republic in there because, again, you're republic. No, we're not, dumbass. We're a democratic republic is what we are. That's our form of government, okay? We have a constitution, or as some people say, we're a constitutional republic. But that's not how it's written. That's not what we are. So, again, you're wrong. You see the errors, which just drives me up the wall. And just to give you a little background, I've studied this stuff for years. I've studied U.S. history. I've studied world history, ancient world history, okay? These groups, this one in particular, all that was in there was when the Romans came into India, or the European Christians, which were the Romans, they called Muslims Moors. And it was spelled M-O-R-O-S. Okay? They don't put a blip on the radar in ancient world history. They don't. And if your group was so powerful, like you say it is, why isn't it all in the history books? And it's not, oh, they're oppressing me. They're oppressing. No. If you were that powerful, if your empire was the United States of America and all the country of North America and Africa, why wasn't it ever mentioned in history? Ever once? Because it wasn't. It's not. See, there's that lack of proof, lack of evidence. But again, you can lead a horse to water, can't force it to drink. So he goes on there, and again, he goes, well as the Maryland Constitution, Declaration of Rights under Article 19. Well, I looked at this. Yes, you do have access, but not free. You have to pay for it. You're not going to get them for free. If you want copies, however you want it, they're not just going to give you the case file and let you walk out the door. That's not how it works. They're going to make copies of it, and you're going to be charged whatever the per page copy fee is. So they're not violating any of your constitutional rights under Maryland's Constitution. And see this too? We don't recognize any of your laws. None of your laws affect me. But damn well sure that Constitution, everything in that Constitution right here, it's for me. It works for me. That's how they like to play the game. None of the laws affect me. None of your laws, nothing. But man, that Constitution, those constitutional rights right here. Well, guess what? If you're not a United States of American citizen, that Constitution doesn't work for you. So that means you've never renounced your actual U.S. citizenship, ever. And I've brought this to their attention too. And they like to play the game. Well, what are you talking about? Why do I got to ask? Because you do. You were born here. Your parents, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I bet your parents think this is the dumbest shit you've ever done in your life. Because they're probably like, you got to be kidding me. Where the hell did you pick this up? Because you didn't get it from me. What stupid ass YouTube video did you watch that led you down the road to believe this bullshit? A lot of these people too, if you look into their criminal record, didn't graduate high school. And there is no college at all, except, well, I attend the Moorish Sovereign College. Well, of course you do, because, again, you're going to believe bullshit. So they're going to teach you bullshit. But no, none of his constitutional rights were violated whatsoever. He prints out Article 19 that every man, for any injury done to him in his personal property, ought to have remedy by the course of the law of the land. Okay, I have no problem with that. I think that's fair. And ought to have justice and right, freely, without sale, fully, without any denial, and speedily, without delay, according to the law of the land. Well, the law of the land has changed. You do incur court costs and court fees. You do have to pay to have shit copied and presented to you. That's just how it is. And I'm betting there's a neat little clause in there. I bet you cherry-picked Article 19 out of the Maryland Constitution. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to read the Maryland Constitution because, hey, that's what I do. I like find your bullshit and disprove it. That's what I'm about. I should have named my channel Doc the Disprover of the Moors Bullshit. So anyways, it goes in here and says, I have been clearly shown in the records of this case and related to case number 122514 Charlie, which I've stated before, by prima facie evidence and conclusive proof that the circuit court for Montgomery County lacks jurisdiction. He has no proof of this. He has none. The fact that you're in court, the fact that your case was trialed in the court in the county of Montgomery, the fact that you were there, the fact that you submitted this, they have jurisdiction. You've already lost that argument about jurisdiction. Move along. It's like Elsa singing Let It Go. That at this point, you just need to let it go. Because it's not a constitutional court of competent jurisdiction being delegated, judicially authorized by Congress under Article 3 of the Constitution for the United States Republic of North America. That bullshit, that's that made-up bullshit by the USAR, the United States American Republic. That's another shitty-ass moop group led by C. Bay, Christopher Bay, and he's got a criminal record a mile long. Again, more fictitious bullshit that holds no weight, has no legality. And what's funny is if you look at their constitution, they literally copy it word for word from the actual legal Constitution of the United States of America, and they put their little changes in there underneath something, or they make a subsection. They're assholes. Nothing they do is original. It's lies. It's original lies, but anything they copy and they take is not original. All right? To hear and decide diversity of nationality. Okay. Well, first off, if you're born in the United States, you're a U.S. citizen, that's your nationality, okay? Your nationality is not where your forefathers come from. Again, Truth 151, or Truth Science, that's his full name. I all came to mind now. Truth Science 151, he's got 2 pages, Truth Science and Truth Science 151. Did a great video, about 38 minutes long, great video on the difference of nationality, what it really is. Nationality is not religious. It's not where your forefathers came from, okay? Nationality is where you're born, the country you were born in. Let me break it down for you moops, because I'm sure there's going to be one of you seeing my video, okay? 1, nationality is where you're born, not your forefathers. That is culture and heritage. If you're born in the United States of America, you're a United States citizen, and your nationality is American. Very simple. Let me give you another example. If you're born in the Kingdom of Morocco, your nationality is Moroccan, you dumbass, not Moorish. That is not a nationality. That's a religious sect of Islam that was created by this noble Drew Ali, who was just as crazy as the rest of this group. Claimed that he was a prophet. Well, you're not. Okay? They say nationality is the word of the day until you officially renounce your U.S. citizenship. Done how the State Department tells you how to do it, and then you apply and get granted Moroccan citizenship. You are not a Moor. You are not from the Moroccan Empire. You are not from the Kingdom of Morocco. None of that shit. You have none of it. It's fake. Get it in here. Drive the bullshit out. I don't care if you got to take an impact drill with a large ass bit to drill it out of your head. Get the stupid shit out. That's what it comes down to. Pure stupidity writes this kind of bullshit. Brainwashed individuals write this kind of shit. Okay? Ugh, I know. I shouldn't get this upset about it, but I do. Because I don't like this. This causes confusion. It causes confusion and misinformation, and it leads people down a wrong path that is going to lead them to jail, fines. It's going to ruin their life because they think this is legit. It's not. It's not. It never will be. So it goes on to here, diversity of nationality versus citizenship cases. It does not have lawful consular jurisdiction to hear and decide treaty matters. There's no treaty matter happening. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States of America and the Kingdom of Morocco is not applicable here. You don't get any of that. That's ports, shipping, and commerce. That's what that is. And if you commit a crime and as a U.S. citizen in their country and as a Moroccan citizen over here, that's what that treaty is about. I am going to go through that treaty line for line. Matter of fact, Friday night, I am going to go through that Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I have a copy from Project Avalon, which is done by Yale Law University, and they have the original Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Along the sides of it gives a little explanation of what each article of that treaty means and actually says and does. Nowhere in there, in that treaty, and it's the same treaty that's still in effect today. Nothing has changed in it. It doesn't get you out of traffic tickets. It doesn't make you tax exempt. It doesn't get you out of lawsuits. Nothing. Fucking idiots. So they call out, and I've read this. If you watched the last video, I've read these articles. So they call out. They like to bring out the treaty involving indigenous people, Moors. These moops are not indigenous at all. They don't belong to any of the tribal nations here in the United States. There is one person that we are going to go after very heavily, and that's Lightria Bay or Tabay or whatever the hell her damn stupid name is, her fictitious name. She says she is the empress of the Cherokee nation of Moors, and that they work very closely with the actual Cherokee Nation. Well, the Cherokee Nation actually has an attorney general. So I am going to write that attorney general, asking them, hey, what's your relationship with this group here of sovereign citizen, wannabe Moor moops? And this person, I'm betting, as a betting man, if I was, I'm going to get a response back that we do not recognize them. They are not recognized as a Cherokee Nation group. And we don't know who the hell they are. So anyways, they come down here, and there is no treaty for anything affecting indigenous people or Moorish Americans per. They do, again, they bring up that Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That is their, if they actually understood the treaty, they would realize that it does nothing for them. But they always call out Article 2021. They have some, this guy, he has some bullshit affidavit of fact, final notice of default judgment, which I put out there because this is from the Enforced Constitution group, which is, again, is this Moorish group or Moopish group that's up in Maryland. And I said, hey, here we are, 2022, and you filed a default judgment lien on June 4th, 2019. So have you got any payment? Have you got that money? Those bars of silver that or gold that you're saying you're supposed to get? Because I'm probably guessing that the state of Maryland probably took that and doop. Again, none of these liens work. Okay. He then states that in there, it entered in related case. He lists out the same case number on May 6, 2013. That was the one that he got for the burglary charge. Again, trying to steal somebody else's house. That, again, they're thieves. They are. They're a group of thieves is what they are, and liars. He then goes, which all stands as prima facie evidence and conclusive proof of lack of jurisdiction. No judge, okay, no legal, legit judge approved that lien. It was entered, but again, he gets hit with fictitious paper. I'm gonna read that warrant here in a minute. And then he says, he pulls out another case. He goes, also see Joyce versus United States, 474 2D215. There is no discretion to ignore lack of jurisdiction. Well, they already have jurisdiction. The fact that you're filing this paperwork, the fact that you took somebody's template and just changed out some dates, they have jurisdiction. This proves it right here. If they don't have jurisdiction, then why file the paperwork? Why show up to court? Because they do have jurisdiction. He then, again, he calls the state of Maryland an incorporation, which it is not. There is the only reason why states have a DUNS number, okay, and they do. They all have DUNS numbers, is because they have departments within the state, such as the secretaries of states, the DMVs, things of that nature, that have fees for licensing and such. So when they bring that money in, they have to have that, lack of a better term, corporation, because again, the state, believe it or not, has federal taxes that they have to pay for those. Okay, they still have to pay taxes for their employees that work for them. Just because they're a state entity doesn't mean they don't pay taxes. So that's why they have that. It's more of that is a business venture. Now, the state of itself, the state of Maryland, the citizens of Maryland, they are what makes up the state. So when they ask the question, well, who's the state of Maryland? Well, the citizens, the people that live in the state of Maryland are Maryland. They are the state of Maryland. So when the state of Maryland calls such and such in a court case, well, that's because you broke a law, and the state of, the state of Maryland is holding you accountable as a citizen of Maryland. You broke a Maryland law. So the citizens, instead of calling every citizen in the state to a court case, the state, which is represented by county and city and district prosecutors, are the ones that represent the people of said state or of a certain region of the United States. That's why we have federal district courts. Same concept. You would not call millions of people to a court case to trial somebody because they broke a state law. No, it's not like it was when towns were very small and they call the whole town together to try James because James skipped a rock on a Sunday down the river and it's meant to stay still so Jesus can walk across it. That's not how it works, okay? Now we have representatives that in most cases are elected to those positions that represent the state's interest, which is our interest, and that's what they're there for. So, again, more bullshit. And what's funny is if you take this document and you compare it to some of the documents that Anne Von Wright or Reed or whatever the hell her name is, she's the cult leader of the U.S. National Group, which is just like this group. This group puts more religion into it. The U.S. National Group or the United States Nationals or whatever they want to call themselves, which still have no authority, no power, no nothing, they do it with less religion, where this group tries to do it with more religion. And again, and it says it's subsidiary, the county court are de facto private, foreign, corporate, for-profit entities. That's not true. And by the use of the Federal Reserve note and checks, which are private corporation, commercial paper, and securities, which that's not true either. Again, he just calls out the federal government and the state. He tries to call it another court case. See the doctrine in the case of Clearfield Trust Company versus United States. And it goes, governments descend to the level of mere private corporations and take on the characteristics of mere private citizens, where private corporation, commercial paper, Federal Reserve notes, and security checks is concerned. So basically what he did is he wrote some stuff in. I've read this case. It pertains to nothing of this. The bill of attainder is a bill that he owes to pay, and it says title order filed under color of state law, the fictitious corporate person. Again, there is no such thing as a corporate person. Within purview of the plausible 14th Amendment, as well as the judgment date and the sentence order date, which he was sentenced. He then goes on, again, he tries to call out foreign, Occidental, European male. And again, it's constant word salad, like I was talking about. And then, okay, so let's get down here. So we get down to the actual order. It says, order, where it is hereby ordered, adjudged and decreed that you, Deborah Lynn Dyer, and Terrence J. McGain are in error. So he didn't like the paperwork. This is them again, paper terrorism. Okay, that's what this is called. File as much paperwork as you can to clog it up, slow it down. None of this paperwork has any legality or authority or anything to do anything in your case. And he goes, it is further ordered that the misrepresentation instrument titled order, date, July, he puts the date in there, filed by, again, Deborah Dyer, and the judgment date, sentence and order date, filed by Terrence McCann. Again, this is where the Constitution only works for me, doesn't work for anybody else. I don't have to obey any of the laws or any of the statutes, which are laws, and so are codes. They're laws. So he goes and says it's unconstitutional, notwithstanding null and void, and are not enforceable because of lack of jurisdiction. Well, again, you filed this paperwork. You showed up to court, so they do have jurisdiction. You committed the crime in their county. They have jurisdiction. Again, it's word salad. It's meant to frustrate and bog down the court. The judge has to go through this, and they have to go through each one and make a ruling on each one. And then what they'll do is they'll object. And, what did I hear today? Order of clarification seems to be their new term they like to use. But that's what this does. And he says lack of jurisdiction and fraud and shall be forthwith stricken and withdrawn from the record of this case. Well, that didn't happen. That's not what happened, because this judge didn't fool around with your ass, and neither did this prosecutor. He goes on and says it is further ordered that you, and again, he calls out Deborah and a Barbara, as they are both clerks, shall forthwith deliver a true test copy of the following documents to the mailing location of, again, and it's his mailing address. And he says that it'll be an affidavit of fact, adverse claim of title, and reversion of ancestral estate filed. So what he thinks is going to happen is he's going to get a document signed by the judge that says that he can go back into that house, that $5.6 million house that he attempted to steal. And an affidavit of fact of final notice of judgment. Because again, he thinks that by filing this, the judge and the attorney, the district attorney, are going to change their ruling. Well, that's not how it works. Sorry, you have no evidence of anything but fictitious paperwork and cherry-picked court cases. He then goes on, it's further ordered that a lien shall be placed against the oath of office, which does nothing, security bond. Now, I did look this up. Now, what this is in most cases, Police officers have this. And what it is it's liability insurance. They get in a car accident, there's a shooting, somebody gets injured, they have liability insurance. And 9 times out of 10, these cops have no idea about it, because what happens is they come into the department and the department pays for it. They get the policy number and it's for the department. And that's what it's for. But again, these officers have no idea what those numbers are. So, and then it goes, and all property, real and personal, corporate or incorporate, and assets of you, Deborah, in order to secure the performance of this writ in an event that this writ is not satisfied within 5 days. So there it is right there. I'm putting a lien against all your shit, and you're going to give it to me if you don't do what I say in 5 days. And this is what they're hoping, this threat right here. This threat is going to scare somebody to do what they want. But it hasn't worked yet. So why haven't you jumped on and understood this? And it says, from the receipt via certified mail. He lists another case, C. Sendich versus Family Finance Corp. 395 U.S. 337-349, 1968. The ability to place a lien upon a man's property, such as to temporarily deprive him of its benefits use without any judicial determination of probate cause, dates back not only to the medieval England, but also to Roman times. It just states, it gives you a little history lesson on the lien. Now, in this day and age, to put a lien on somebody's property, and I like using construction, new home construction or renovation. Renovations can cost a bit. So if you get a company that comes in, you pay them half up front, and say the total bill is 80 grand. You pay them 45 grand up front or 40 grand up front. They do the work, they leave, and you don't pay them the other 40 grand. At that point, if they don't get payment after, I think in this state, they have to send like 2 letters of notification. So 60 days, 90 days. At the 90-day point, they then can file a lien. However, that lien with the bill of work and all that has to go to a judge. The judge then signs the lien and approves the lien. It has to be a judicial approved lien. You can't just write one up. Well, you can, but you're not going to get anything out of it. Okay. There has been a few cases because, again, court clerks and whatnot don't understand a lot of this jargon. And so what they'll do is a moop will come in, get it stamped, signed, notarized. And what they'll do is they'll go file it with the Department of Deeds. So now all of a sudden, this person who has no idea has this fake lien against their house. So they have to get a lawyer or get all their paperwork together and go and fight this. And then it gets removed. There's the Light Tajiri Bay, or Light Not On in the Attic Bay. She tried this a couple times. And when the homeowners found out that these liens were there, they got an attorney, got them all removed, and then she got charged with filing fictitious liens. So anyways, there's that. And it says, so order sujuris, which means nothing. So they like to think they have this power, and they don't. The backside affidavit just says, I affirm by virtue of divine law, which there is none, under the Zodiac Constitution, which we do not follow, and upon the United States Republic Constitution, which that is not our Constitution, and upon the honor of my foremothers and forefathers, and man, do I bet they're rolling in their graves, that the foregoing writ of error and affidavit is true and correct. Well, it's not. You made false statements. So, and then what's really funny is the affiant, which is Lamount Maurice Butler. He signs it, Counselor and General Advisor, Judicial Officer, Moorish American Consular Court, Authorized Representative, Lamount Maurice Butler. He then puts his name, and then, of course, there's all this BS, all rights reserved, UCC 1-207/1-308. I mean, again, just crap. And then what's funny is, and I've seen this name before, and there's another group. There are so many little splinter groups within the moops that we have to take our time and go through each one. And I think I'm going to spice it up a little bit, so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. But they put Megaherbois al Asquius and then Northwest Amexum. Again, this is not Northwest Amexum. Neither is Maryland. That's North America, the United States of America. Africa is across the Atlantic Ocean. You got to get on a boat or an airplane. Preferably just swim. Sharks will chase you or eat you. And then again, duly subscribed and affirmed on the 4th day of August. They put this weird year here, 1441 MCY, and then they put CCY 2020, which is the actual year. And then it says, before me, a vizier, public minister, which there is no such thing. The Moroccan embassy has already stated that there is none of this. They don't recognize any of this. For the Moorish National Republic federal government. Again, fictitious. Yes, I made an LLC for it, but it doesn't exist. It's not a true form of government. No country, not even the United States of America, recognize this country. We recognize them as domestic terrorists. That we do. And then he has this Cortina Woodward L. So what's going to be fun in all this is we're going to do background checks. We're going to pull these people up and look at their criminal past, look at where they live. We're going to deep dive research them and find out what they're all about. What's really interesting too is when we do our background checks, we get their current address. And what we might do is just send a little letter and say, hey, what made you decide to quote unquote become a Moor? What was the big draw? And see if we get responses back, because it would be interesting to know why they think they have this power when they don't. And then the affidavit of facts, certification of services, it's his name. Just says it was sent to the following people. Here's that unknown authorized representative. And the date or the address of the house. The house is not in District of the Columbia. Neither is this Natalie Woods LLC. They're in Bethesda. They're in Maryland. So he's wrong in their address. And then there's the unknown non-party occupants, the people that actually bought the house in 2018, who spent $5.6 million in that house. He then reaches out to them in Bethesda, Maryland. And then he lists out the Maryland Secretary of State, the U.S. Secretary of State, U.S. Attorney General. He goes to United Nations High Commission for Human Rights, which is known as the Hague, which has no say in this. I plan on writing a letter or an email to that office, to whoever holds it now, and just ask them and say, how much of this crap gets sent to you? And do you honestly believe it? I mean, do you need to be actually educated on what this group is? Because they're not what they're telling you they are. And then again, he goes, the embassies and consulates of the international community and other interested persons enforce the Constitution organization. That is that Moore group in the state of Maryland. They tried to claim they got this guy off out of court, and they didn't. What happened was, and I'm going to see before I let you go, this is a whole file folder, guys. It really is. Let me see if I can find the warrant, because that is what is really interesting in all of this is the warrant, because it's not that document. Yeah, I've created a whole file folder for this guy. Okay, so excuse me. So here we have I believe this is the warrant that, yes. This was the warrant that actually lists out the charges. And here we go. So this was filed in Montgomery County, Maryland. And I love the fact that he got this stuff and uploaded it to this Enforce the Constitution group, because it's all public knowledge now. It's all public record. So guess what? You put it out there. I found it. Now we're making it public. What's weird is he tried to use this as a evidence, as an exhibit. So, and he circles a lot of stuff in red pen and he writes a little thing. But again, he doesn't understand law or how courts work or evidence or nothing. These people are just right here. It's all gone. It drained out their ear, I think. So to the clerk's office, please docket the above captioned case for a null prosia note further investigation. So he circles that in red, null prosia, and he puts evidence of no valid claim. That wasn't saying a claim. So what he's trying to do is say, well, there's no evidence. Well, there's plenty of evidence. We're going to get to that because they have all this fictitious paperwork you attempted to file. That's the evidence against you. And it says respectfully submitted by John J. McCarthy, State Attorney for Montgomery County, Maryland. And then as we know, a lot of documents now we use e-signature or we already have a digital signature already made, which is legal. They are legal binding signatures. So Brian Roslaud, who's the Assistant State Attorney for that county, so he put by because I'm guessing he's probably the one that wrote all this up. They circle this because his signature's on here twice. And he goes, evidence of no valid signature. Well, electronic signatures are valid. So again, it shows his lack of knowledge in the subject. Misrepresentation and fraud in the indictment. I don't see where any of that is. If you look up the definition of fraud or misrepresentation, there's none there. And so there was a warrant recall request, came from the criminal desk of the district court. And it was for, again, the case file 0 Delta 00415 And it was recalled. It was being recalled because, again, he got charged again with another crime. So it was recalled and sent back to the district court. Well, here we go. Right here's all the evidence, Mr. Lamont. It's all right here of what you did and your wrongdoing in the law you broke, because again, you filed fictitious documents, which is illegal. How about that, buddy? So this was back on, it was entered into public record false entry is what he got hit with. He had 2 counts of that, and he got 2 counts of fraudulent liens, which he, again, like I said, these liens go nowhere. To file a lien now, they got to be signed by a judge. His arrest warrant was issued on January 25th of 2021. So just a little over a year ago. He then circles that and he says, evidence of fraud in the indictment and color of authority. Well, no, there wasn't. It was issued with a warrant control number to the state of Maryland, Montgomery County, to any police officer. So any officer that was on duty, whether it was state, city, or the county of Montgomery, they can arrest him. If they pull him over and they see this warrant on file, at that point, they are to arrest him. He goes, an order of the court was entered on 1/25/2021, ordering the arrest of Butler Lamount Maurice. He then circles that and says, evidence of conspiracy to kidnap and fraud. There was no kidnapping. There was no fraud. Being arrested is not kidnapping. Being taken against your will is. It's, again, I'll post the legal definitions of both. Again, he says he is to be arrested and brought before the court for an initial appearance. You are ordered to immediately arrest the above named person who resides or may be located. They actually listed his physical address. Again, he has that as evidence of conspiracy to kidnap and fraud. If the defendant is not in custody for another offense, initial appearance is to be held in county in which defendant is arrested. You are further directed to immediately take this person before a judicial officer of the district court, or if the warrant so specifies, before the judicial officer of the circuit court. An appearance by video satisfies this requirement. Again, because of COVID, video appearances were the norm. He then again circles it. He goes, evidence of color of authority and fraud. Again, no evidence of that and no evidence of fraud. They circled what his race was, which was race 1. He then puts evidence of black code, which dilutes to slavery in color of law. No, it doesn't. That's what they use for race. So again, he tries. You know, I'm guessing that this guy was brainwashed at a young age. He probably grew up around this to an extent. Probably had his dad and his uncles and his grandfather talking about this stuff. And then as he got older, it got more intense to really push the brainwashing. He was around kids that probably believed this stuff as well. And what's sad is in some of these videos, the video of this guy, he's got a younger kid there. I think it's like his cousin or his nephew filming this stuff, him committing a crime, breaking into this $5.6 million house. So again, the top page has everything. It's like the title, and they list his name. He goes, evidence of fictitious corporate person, nom de jure, and fraud. Well, that's not a corporate person. That is you. That is your legal name. It's calling attention to you and what your name is. So again, they don't understand what capital letters are actually meant for. He then also puts evidence of black code, which dilutes to slavery, false identity, denationalization, color of law, and fraud. Well, again, your color is not your nationality. Where your forefathers were born is not your nationality. Where you were born is your nationality. Nationality is the word of the day. So it does circle out the charges here. First one is statute CR 3808 alpha, which is 1 year and or $10,000 fine. And that was for the fraudulent liens on or about 12/28/2020. He listed out, he goes, did file lien in a public record against a personal property of another, knowing that the lien is false against the peace, government, and dignity of the state. It's good. This was, if we could see more warrants like this for these people filing these liens, and they actually went after these people and arrested them, it would be great. You want to play the game like Onomatopoeia. I'll post her video where she's literally yelling out the window, show me the paperwork, show me the paperwork. I'm not her. I'm a sovereign. No, you're not. You're not a Moor either. You may be. You may be a Moor because you believe in that sect of Islam, but that's not your nationality. You were born here in the United States. We know you're just crazy. Second charge was CR 8606 Bravo 1, which is 3 years and or $1,000. And this was for falsifying public records entry on or about 12/28/2020. Did willingly make a false entry in a public record against a peace, government, and dignity of the state. Whew. Well, that's 4 years and $11,000. And then we come down and we have CR3. This is charge 3, 808 alpha. Again, 1 year or $10,000 or both. Fraudulent liens. Did file lien in a public record against the personal property of another, knowing that the lien is false, against the peace, government, and dignity of the state. So now we're up to 5 years and $21,000 in fines. And then again, a second charge of CR 8606 Bravo 1, 3 years or $1,000, public record falsifying. Did it on the 29th. So he did two. He did one set on the 28th, came back on the 29th and figured, hell, why not? Let me file another one. And again, did willingly make a false entry in a public record against the peace, government, and dignity of the state. So at this point, he's got 8 years in prison and $22,000 in fines. He says it's evidence of color of law and fraud, which it's not. He knows he did it. It was fictitious paperwork. These people know it's fake. Okay, they have to. You can't tell me you're this stupid. The judicial order, judge did a quick sig. We know how that is. A lot of people do them. Does a little loop and boom, you're done. He goes, evidence of impersonation of a judicial officer and fraud. Do you know the judge's signature? I don't think you do. There is an officer who did file the complaint here. And there is a continuation of the charges here. Again, he goes through the document. It says evidence of perjury and fraud, which was the signature of the officer and the printed name. Again, evidence of fraud in the inducement and collusion. There was no collusion. You screwed up. You broke the law, and they nailed you for it. And then the application for statement of charges continued. This was page 2 or 3. So again, and this was by Corporal B.J. Smith. He did a really good job. He called everything out. This was for back in 2013. It says Lamount Butler. I'm not going to get into all his different wannabe moop names. Attempted to seize possession of a resident property located at Montgomery County, Maryland. Butler identifies himself as an Aboriginalist Moorish American national, which doesn't exist. He gained entry to the residence using various fraudulent Moorish documents, which made claims that Butler was the rightful owner of the property. He was ultimately convicted of first-degree burglary, conspiracy to commit first-degree burglary, attempt theft of over $100,000, and fraud for the incident in Montgomery County Circuit Court. On September 23rd, 2020, Butler showed up at the Central Files Department of the Montgomery County Circuit Court to review case files. The document which he sought to review was related to and cataloged under that case number 123483 Charlie and 122514 Charlie. The documents were Moorish national documents. Again, fraudulent, illegal, non-recognized documents. Again, Photoshop, copy and paste. They're your friend. If you want to commit fraud in this day and age with computers, you can do it. Which had been submitted in the blank case. Butler completed a health screening questionnaire during his visit and signed the form Lamount Maurice Butler-El under protest, all rights reserved, which doesn't mean shit. On November 12, 2020, the officer of the clerk of the Circuit Court of Montgomery County stamped the package received from Lamount Maurice Butler case, titled default judgment. The following individuals who are known to your applicant were named as judgment debtors in the document. He had listed 10 Montgomery County court officers, which, if you would like to see this document, I think I have it. If I don't, I know where to get it, or I can post a link to it. 10 Montgomery County court officers, victims 1 through 3 and 5 through 11. 15 Montgomery County police officers, active and retired, victims 4, 12 through 25. The former director of the Montgomery County Detention Center, victim 26. The authorized representative of the property at. Now we're getting to the property that he attempted to steal. Okay. An affidavit of fact, authorized invoice charge sheet, which again is bullshit. Don't mean anything. They have charge sheets. They list out a bunch of shit with out of this world price, costs, and they think that they're going to be good in the end. They're going to get paid this. To this date, I guarantee you he has not been paid. Was also included in the package, which sought ordered liens against the judgment debtors to be paid in lawful money, 0.9999 fine gold bullion coins or bars, and therefore, or in the amount of $194,420,000 to the judgment creditor, which his name. So I bet to this date, and here we are, February 2nd, 2022, he ain't been paid. On November 13, 2020, a subject matching Butler's physical description showed up at and confronted one of the workers at the property. So now he's at that $5.6 million house. The timelines are making sense. Here he is at this house trying to say, hey, this is my house. What are you doing in here? So he tried to intimidate one of the workers at the property. The residence of the property, or is the property of LLC. The subject asked the worker if he was the owner of the property. The worker replied that the property was owned by his employers. The subject told the worker that his employers did not own this house. He claimed the property was being disputed and fell under treaty law, which it does not. There is no treaty at all that would even come close to this. Again, dealing with the treaties of peace and friendship, anything that would be in dispute is at the port, not inland in Maryland at a $7 million house. But again, they attempt to use a treaty that they know nothing about. They don't understand. They just read it and it sounds good and they think it'll work and they don't research and they fail miserably. and it belonged to Morocco. He suggests the worker search Lamount Maurice in the matter. A query of the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation real property data search lists the value of the property at more than $7 million. So when the property was purchased in 2018, it was $5.6 million. Now at this point, it is well over $7 million. And earlier in the video, I read off what the price of this house was. Okay. On December 29, 2020, your applicant became aware of UCC lien filings, which were made by Mr. Butler on the stat database. Your applicant queried the database and located a UCC1 financial statement filing number. They blank out a little bit of it, and then it just says 0517000, filed by Lamount L. The filing address was this. The UCC statement listed victims 1, 2, and 4 as debtors and sought collateral to pay an alleged $194,420,000 debt. The UCC statement was electronically filed on December 27th. So there's the first lien. Okay. Again, this is how they work. They file fictitious paperwork. What happens is when this happens and these people put a lien on your house and you're trying to sell it or you're trying to get equity out of your home, this stops it. So unless you're checking your home, making sure nobody's got a lien against you, you wouldn't know until you up and got ready to use your house for equity to improve or pay off bills, go on a vacation, whatever. So that's how they found out. It says your applicant located a second UCC1 financial filing, number 2012280455000, filed by Lamount Butler of the Consular General of Morocco at Maryland Republic, which does not exist. Okay. The filing address was listed as, and they blanked it out. The UCC statement listed victims 1, 2, 3, and 4 as debtors and sought collateral to pay the same amount. This was filed electronically on December 28th, 2020. They redacted another line. It says a UCC1 is a Uniform Commercial Code filing that is a public notice of a secured transaction. The notice UCC1 is a financing statement that indicates a commercial agreement between a debtor and a secured party. It is filed by creditors to publicly declare their rights to potentially obtain the person's property of debtors who default on business loans that are extended. The filing of UCC liens against government officials is a common tactic used by sovereign citizens. So now the moops and the sovereign cits, this is where they come together, who believe that no court can lawfully rule on the fact or existence of the filing because they believe the filing is legal fact. On January 8th, 2021, Butler arrived at the Montgomery County Circuit Court and hand-delivered a Moorish writ of possession, recase number, package to the sheriff's office. This package contained the name of Lamount Maurice Butler-El and was directly addressed to Sheriff Popkin. The package contained a seal of the Vizier of Morocco Consular Court at the Maryland State Republic. The writ of possession document instructed the sheriff to place the property at, again, that address that I read earlier, into the custody of Mr. Butler. The Moorish national and beliefs are closely associated with the sovereign citizen movement, which is considered domestic extremist. Well, according to the new updated report by the FBI, they are considered domestic terrorists. By the FBI, Anti-Defamation League, and the Sovereign Poverty Law Center, self-declared Moorish nationals have been involved in crimes involving the use of fraudulent deeds, liens, and other documents while claiming exemption from the United States law. They have used paper terrorism tactics to retaliate against government authorities by placing false liens and judgments against officials. They have made criminality fraudulent attempts to take ownership of homes in many states throughout the southeast region of the United States. Based on the above facts and circumstances, your applicant requests a warrant charging Lamount Butler with the following 4 counts: filing false financial statements, 27 counts of filing fraudulent liens, 1 count attempted theft, 1 count attempted theft scheme, and 2 counts making false entries in public records. Butler attempted a similar residential takeover in Charles County in 2013 using fraudulent means. He was convicted of first-degree burglary, theft over $100,000, and conspiracy to commit the burglary and theft. He received a prison sentence. He is currently on parole under the supervision of the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correction Services for that incident. Your applicant has gained experience with soft sits while working as a vice and intelligence detective for more than 10 years. Your applicant has participated in numerous training courses involving sovereign citizens since 2011. Butler's identity has been confirmed through his most recent District of Columbia identification card. So here we are. This gentleman who lives in D.C. was trying to steal houses in Maryland. And that's where I'm going to leave this at, folks. This was another long one. I do apologize. For anybody that watches this later, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I know I do my videos later in the evening. Part of that is because when I do my videos during the week, I have children. So we have other responsibilities up until around 9 o'clock. So this is why we do our videos later. However, I am going to try to do some pre-recorded videos and get them out there more often. So that way you guys can see more content. We have a lot more to discuss. The Maryland Moops, they are a larger group. There's more of them in there. However, I have found 2 sects that I am really wanting to get into and start to just devolve into there and dissolve their claims of what they are. One of them, again, is this Nidhi El Bay. She thinks she's some grand empress. So there's her. There is the Churi to the Light Bay, or whatever her made-up name is, as well. She's another one of these fanatic cult leaders of this domestic terrorist group. And there's just, oh my gosh, there's tons of paperwork out there. There's tons of fictitious liens that she has filed. And I think I have a lot of them already printed out. So what I may do is start 2 new view channels. And that way you can go through and look at the different videos, and I'll start doing some pre-recorded stuff as well. So that way you guys can start to see more content. There will be a new Morning Talks with Doc coming out here probably tomorrow. There is some very interesting stuff that's happening on both fronts. So like I said, we're not only do we go after the moops, but we also go after the soft sits, and again, destroy their paperwork, destroy their whole demeanor. To tell you, one of the new ones we're going to go after is a Mr. Killoran, who is based out of Zanesville, Ohio. Yes, all this is public knowledge. You can actually type in Brandon Killoran in Google, Zanesville, Ohio, and you will start to see what I'm talking about. He does have a YouTube channel out there, not very big, about 65 subscribers. I'm one of them because I just wanted to see his videos and comment. Very interesting. The reason why I'm excited about that is I actually got his entire case files from the city of Zanesville. He's made some other pretty outlandish claims, and so we're going to reach out to the sheriff's department, to the county that Zanesville is in. We're going to ask some questions to them, get some responses back. I'm hoping also to get any and all documents that can be released, because there are some documents that can't be, and I understand that. But any documents, court documents, jail documents, can be released to me as well to go with this case, to his file in particular. He is, the way he talks to people, the way he describes people, he's very arrogant. He's very ignorant. He thinks he does no wrong. Everybody is a bigot and a tyrant, and he's the only righteous one. He loves attempting to try to call out people that comment. One of them was me. I have been one of his most crucial commenters on just his videos because he's trash. And again, he blames everybody for his problems. And you'll see what I'm talking about. We got a lot of documentation, so a lot of fill in the blanks. Probably to start off his videos is we'll give a little backstory on him and kind of fill everybody in before we start going over this. We are going to actually use his videos as well through the the Federal Fair Use Act. We can, because they are public knowledge. They're out there. They're not on a private forum or a private channel. So we'll be using those, and we're going to start. I'm going to start at the beginning, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He again, very narcissistic. He thinks everybody is wrong and he's the only right one. He thinks he's the only one leading a righteous charge. But when you question him, he attempts to insult, is what he tries to do. He tried to do it to me a couple times, and I just shot it right back at him. And I said, you're talking about these problems and how inept everybody is, but what are you actually doing besides bitching and whining like a 5-year-old here on YouTube? I mean, you're not providing any substance. You're just complaining. That's all you're doing with no solution. His big issue, and I'll give a little bit more on this. We'll go another 15 minutes here, so you guys have a little bit of idea of where I'm going next. He purchased a home in Zanesville, Ohio, back in 2018. He then started to complain about noises he was hearing. And he was saying it was a low-frequency hum, and it was this and that. And at first, he tried to blame the wastewater treatment plant and said it was the blowers. However, they went out and did a test, and there was no way the noise from the blowers could ever get over to his house, ever. He would never hear it from over there. Then he tried to blame 2 other companies that have been in this area, been a local business for quite some time. One of them is a foundry, has been there over 80 years. If anybody's ever been near a foundry, they are loud. That's just the nature. They're pouring melted metal into molds or whatever, so they're loud. And in watching some of his videos, there's videos where he posts the time. Oh, this is at 4:30 in the morning. Okay. Some business operate early in the morning. And when you listen to it, what's funny is you'll hear the recording, but you don't see where he's at. So you have no idea if he's outside, if he's inside. There's one video he said he heard a magnetic hum through the walls of his safe. And I'm just like, dude, that sounds like you jacked up the stereo volume and just, you have that power surge in the subwoofer that just, and he's sitting there saying it was the hum from the power lines. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My drive to work, I go through these power lines and I can go down. If they were that loud, when I rolled down my window, I would hear them hum. Now, in some cases, if it's absolutely quiet and you're close to those high voltage power lines, yeah, you can hear them hum. It's a shit ton of electricity going through that thing that'll knock you on your ass and probably kill you. But if you're in your house, the chances of you hearing that if the windows are shut are next to nil. And so again, there's no video proof to prove any of what he's doing. I do have the documented proof here when I requested the files on him that the city was getting ready to spend between 2 contractors. One was $7,000, one was just over $6,500. They were getting ready to spend this money with these 2 other, one of these 2 contractors to do an audio test. Obviously, they're going to do it from the businesses. They'll do it from his house because you want to get, obviously, all the data. They called it off because they came to the point saying that we don't understand what he's saying. Has he checked his hearing? I mean, at one point, when they called off the contractors, they turned around and the guy even said, he goes, look, I can make an appointment. I have connections at the VA. We can set up a hearing test. If you can't get there, there's a lot of great local resources where you can get your hearing checked. Well, through this whole ordeal, he has never gotten his hearing checked. And like I said, the VA was called. He is a veteran. And somewhere in there said he was a Marine Corps veteran. There is a case out there. It is public knowledge. It is public record. It is out there where he was trying to get full Social Security benefits. And he tried to sue the Social Security Administration because they use a different system of criteria than the VA does. And that's to be understood because the VA looks at what percentage of your job could you do based upon these ailments. And that's how they issue their percentage, where Social Security uses a completely different system. And so in that, again, he didn't get what he wants. In a 30-day or a 90-day time period, in the 3-month time period, he made 153 phone calls to the non-emergency line of the Zanesville Police Department. And in that, the way he spoke to the dispatchers, and yes, they are females, all of them are, that from all the calls I've listened to. Just he's insulting, he's arrogant, he's narcissistic, he just thinks he's right and nobody else is wrong, or nobody else is right but him. Everybody else is wrong. Constantly just demeaning and belittling these ladies. And then you listen to him on his video and he calls them bigots and tyrants and quota hires and incompetent. And in all regards, they're doing the job that they're supposed to be doing. The problem is he's upset because they're not doing it to his whim. Again, one of these businesses have been in the area for over 80 years before his house was even built. The thing that gets me in all of this is when I'm looking at a house and I look at an area, I take into consideration noise. I may go to the house during the day, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. I want to hear what the traffic's like. I want to hear what's going on around. That's acceptable. Come back, maybe you have a meeting with the owners 7, 8 o'clock at night. You get another feel for the surrounding areas of the home. Is it quiet? Is it loud? Do you hear music booming down the street? Do you and I'll tell you, I live near a major airport. I also have 2 major military bases by me. I heard people complaining about booms, okay, because at the base, they're training. I didn't hear those. I'm in my house. Now, if a military aircraft flies low or a jet's coming in low to land, yes, I'll hear that. I expect to hear that. But it's not disturbing to the point where I'm going to call the police and tell them to shut the airport down because, well, I just want to relax. So that gets me. How did you not know these noises were there before you bought your house? Did you just buy it and not check it out first? That's one of my major questions. The other question I asked him too is I said, well, Brandon, I said, I'm curious, what's the decibel reading? What's the dBA reading? And, nothing from him. And I even said, I don't know what kind of phone you have, but there's some great apps out there that can measure dBA. Now, would I take them as the gold standard? Probably not. I would probably want an actual device that's meant for measuring decibels. And I said, what I would do is I would go to the property, sit in the parking lot, midway in the parking lot to the front door, and I would record what the decibel reading is, and I'd write it down, my location and what time. Then I would go to the easement of the property, which is usually the curb before the road. I'd take another reading. I'd go back to my house, take one from the easement. Here's what my reading is. Take one from the driveway outside of the house. Here's what the decibel reading is. Go inside my house with all the windows shut. Take a decibel reading. He didn't like that because what that would have done was prove to him that those noises are not over what is considered a considerable noise level during those times of day. There is another county that is next door to the county that Zanesville is in that specifies during the day and at night what's acceptable in commercial areas, what's acceptable in residential or non-residential and residential areas. And I made the suggestion to him. I said, why don't you take this to a city council meeting and say, hey, I noticed over here this city has this in their noise ordinance. Can we have that placed in ours? This may help. The thing you have to remember is, and I found this out, I reached out to that, to the engineer in that city, and I had asked him, I said, How did you guys come up with this? He goes, well, we went all over the place. We went to the edge of town where some of our communities are. We were dead smack in the center of town. We went to all main points, and we took decibel readings, non-residential and residential. We then took it and we did an average of all the areas, and this is what we got. So I said, okay, that makes sense. So Mr. Killeran, which he hates being called, by the way, doesn't want to put forth a solution of his own. He wants everybody else to take care of his problems for him. And that's where he goes back to his name calling and, oh, they're a bigot, they're brainwashed, Stockholm syndrome. He's mentioned that. I honestly, I've given him the definition of what Stockholm syndrome is. I still, to this day, don't believe he understands what it means or what it is. So, I've offered to help. I said, hey, let me reach out to these companies for you. Let me see if I get a different response because I'm going a different route than you are. Your attitude could be putting them off, or they're like, what, fuck this guy. I ain't going to do anything for him. So I have. Now, have I gotten a response back? No. So my next step is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to write a nice letter just asking some questions about noise issues, if they've had any complaints themselves. Has anybody come to them and complained? Have the police come and talk to them as a city council? Any of that. Hopefully I'll get a response back. And that way I can then go and be like, wait a minute, this ain't going to work. Mr. Killeran also mentioned about these companies relocating. Well, again, one company has been there for over 80 years and is a foundry. They deal with molten metal. They're also right next to the railroad, which means they have prime access for raw materials for what they do. Why would you want to move? You're in the right spot. Also, he says in his little posting, again, he doesn't show any pictures or he doesn't show anything. He just talks. I've actually looked at where these companies are at. Both companies have room to grow. One is a lumber mill. The other one, like I said, is a foundry. And they can go, there's a waterway as well. So they can go up the waterway or down it. They have space if they want to grow. But they're not going to move. And of course, he makes the comment. He goes, oh, so what are they bringing? 10, a handful of jobs. What's that to the, the well-being of the community? Well, I did go off on him on that. I said, well, that handful of jobs that works at night, that's bills paid, school clothes for the kids, food on the table, roof over their head, gas in the car. That's what that is. So again, he's worried about himself, nobody else. He's the only one that does no wrong. Everybody else is wrong. Like I said, they're a bigot, they're a tyrant, they're inept, they don't know what they're talking about. Only he knows. And so in this following, crusade, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, I have pursued this more and more because I feel there's more to this. And so he is going to become a focal point here in the next couple weeks. He will become a focal point that we use to dispel a lot of his just arrogance. We're going to listen to some of the phone calls that he's had. I guess he's called state reps and senators, but they have no idea what he's talking about because it's a one-sided conversation. He's not sending them any information ahead of time. I know if I was going to have a call with a senator, I would want to make sure the senator has the same information I do that I'm talking about. So at least that senator or representative or whoever could look through that and do some research themselves and have some talking points or know where to point me to maybe. But he doesn't do that. He gets on the phone with these people. And literally there's one conversation where I think the guy maybe says a total of 20 words through a 35-minute conversation. He says maybe 20 words because he bogarts the conversation. He takes it over because he doesn't want to hear what anybody else is going to say. So he talks in circles. That's all he does. And it's the same complaints over and over again. And I had really wished somebody would have said to him, okay, What's your solution? We know the problem. What's your solution? You're telling me the mayor doesn't know his job, the chief of police doesn't know his job, the police officers don't know their job, the city council doesn't know their job. What is the solution? What are you've listed all the problems. What's your solution? Now, I've said to him, I said, instead of complaining and expecting everybody else to do the work for you, go run for mayor. Go run for a city council spot. Why? Because now you'll be in a position to have some authority over taking care of that problem. Instead of just coming on YouTube, flipping your phone upside down, and recording your YouTube, recording yourself while you talk so you can post it to YouTube. That in of itself is the problem. You're not offering a solution to the problem. You're just listing the problems. And it's utter ridiculous is what it is. It's nonsense. I'm a veteran, and even when I get angry, I'm angry for an hour. And then I think to myself, okay, here's the problem. What would be a plausible solution that I can suggest? And I've done that. I've written letters to senators in different states. I've written letters to city council members, to school board members, and suggested other things. Provide feedback, actual respectful feedback, and you won't get treated like an asshole. When you talk to people with respect, you get respect, and the thing with these type of people, and he is a soft set in this stuff. The same thing that we saw with Mr. Butler here, the liens, the fee schedules, they're right here as well. And he says, well, I'm not a soft set. Well, you are. You're following the soft set playbook. That's what you're doing. The one thing I've always learned in life is if I talk to you with respect, no matter how much I'm upset, if I talk to you with respect, you're going to talk to me with respect. Now, if you talk to me with disrespect, you're going to get it back. That's just how it is. I'm not going to kiss your ass. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to get you to respect me. What I am going to do is fire it right back at you, letting you know that, guess what? We're going to go toe-to-toe on this. And that's fine. That's exchanging right there. But he doesn't do that. He's, like I said, he suffers from NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder. You can hear it in his voice. And he meets, out of 5 criteria, he meets 4 of the 5. So it's not hard to see. And you're going to constantly be upset if you're not willing to step into that position to make change. If you had, the one thing I also suggested to Mr. Killeran is if you come to these phone calls with 3-4 well thought out discussion points, and talked about those and conversed back and forth instead of having just a one-sided conversation, and made sure the person you're talking with had the same information, the same questions a couple days in advance, you would get a much better response. And he didn't like that. Some of his later videos in January and end of December, He was saying that those of us leaving comments were keyboard warriors and were probably brainwashed and wish we were men like him. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I would never wish that on anybody because of the fact that he's ruined his life. He's got a criminal record now. He's got a criminal past. And he follows this soft sit stuff, and all he does is whine. So how does that make me want to be you as a man? You're not. A real man would go to a city council meeting or go to several city council meetings, bring up these issues, have solutions, schedule off meeting sessions with city council members, have a plan and present it to them to help take care of this, instead of just calling everybody a bigot or everybody a tyrant or everybody is this and everybody is that. That's not how it works, man. But anyways, we'll cover that more in the next video. I'll do a little pre-recorded video on that and get it out there for you guys so you have some information to start with. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell because that'll let you know whenever we post a new video. We're going to start posting more. I want to thank everybody that again, Mark, I do apologize that I don't remember your name for your channel, but I'll make sure I put your channel link in my description. Mark's a great guy. I've been hitting up some of his videos and talking to him. I'm providing some extra information to his videos so that way he can see how deep down the rabbit hole some of these people he's doing videos on are going. And he's got a great Discord up. So again, great community there too. We do have a Etsy store. If you want to support the channel, it's Doc's Creation Station. That is mine. I do have a business that I help my older daughter with. And so again, we do soaps, candles. I make custom t-shirts, resin stuff. I do custom tumblers, and we are going to release a line that goes with this channel. And if you're interested, check it out. I'll put the link in the description. We appreciate any help. Again, I'm not doing it for money or recognition. I'm doing it because it's something that needs to be done. And I'm hoping more and more people within the right positions will see these videos, see these documents, and be like, look, we need to make some changes so this kind of stuff doesn't flood our court system, doesn't bog down our law enforcement, and doesn't hurt actual legal United States citizens. And that's what we need to do. So again, I appreciate everybody. Make sure you stay tuned for the next one. Probably going to do one Friday or this weekend. So I'll do one a little bit more earlier in the day. There will be some new content coming out. So make sure you click that bell, like, and subscribe. And again, this is Doc for Doc's Taking on the Mormish. I appreciate you. Take care. Have a great night. Peace. Doc out of here.